It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and today we're going to preview the Detroit Lions and their upcoming 2020 NFL season. But before we get started, let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the Lions season as we go into our 4-minute offense. Lions head coach Matt Patricia is entering the third year of his tenure as a head guy in charge, and this season may be a pivotal one for him. When he was hired back in 2018, he was supposed to be the guy to get Detroit over the hump because 9-7 just wasn't good enough in regards to the job that former head coach Jim Caldwell did when he was there. Since then, Patricia has only won a combined 9 games in 2 seasons. What makes matters worse is that his defense, which was his calling card, hasn't been very good either. This season they made some changes on defense, and the hope is that some of the competitively close losses from last year turn into victories this upcoming season. Judging by some of the moves that they've made in both the draft and in free agency, Patricia could prove that the third time could most definitely be a charm in the Motor City. Matthew Stafford was playing some of the best ball of his career last season prior to going down with an injury and subsequently missing half of the season. What makes this latest injury concerning is that it was a back injury, and this was his second back injury in consecutive years, and we saw Tony Romo deal with consecutive back injuries as his career winded down, ultimately costing him his career. Stafford is still a fairly young guy in terms of the quarterback position, seeing that he's only 31 years old. You hope that this isn't a sign of things to come for Detroit, as there's no young prospect that they have on a roster that's waiting in the wings. And the Lions did sign Chase Daniel this past offseason and honestly hope that he has to never see the field. The Lions were particularly busy this offseason in free agency, especially on the defensive side of the ball, as they brought in 11 free agents. What was more interesting to me, at least, was that they found 3 former New England Patriots at all 3 levels to help get this defense back on the right track. Detroit signed nose tackle Danny Shelton, linebacker Jamie Collins, and traded for safety Deron Harmon. Head coach Matt Patricia is familiar with both Collins and Harmon, and they will be looked upon to be leaders on the back 7, while Shelton will be looked as a guy who can bring to the table the same thing Snacks Harrison did while he was in Detroit. Now, they joined the other 8 defensive free agents tasked with the job of turning around a defense that finished 31st in the NFL. The other guy who is tasked with the job of turning around his defense is new defensive coordinator Corey Unlund, who comes over from the Philadelphia Eagles, where he was their defensive backs coach for the last 5 seasons. The last time Unlund coordinated a defense was back in 2001 at Cal Lutheran. Now, there can be a uniqueness to having a defensive coordinator whose background is from the defensive backfield. It gives him a unique back-to-front approach, especially from a coverage aspect. Because of COVID-19, it has been all virtual classroom stuff to implement his system, so it will be interesting to see how he does in year 1, considering the lack of physical on-field instruction. I'd be willing to give him a mulligan for this season, although we know fans may not have that kind of rational patience. Matt Stafford has been the Lions starting quarterback since he was drafted first overall back in 2009, and he's been a steady to solid player in his career, never really topping that good to great threshold, and that's what makes last year's premature exit to his season so frustrating for so many Lions fans and those within the organization, as he was playing some of the best ball of his career, which could have been the catalyst to him having the type of season that would have changed some of the perceptions and narratives about his career. Now, he's entering his 11th season. He's 31 years old, which is still fairly young by QB standards, and he has to hope to recapture that play he had last season, coming off of back-to-back injuries to his back. And last season, when he got injured, the Lions' season fell completely apart, and to help protect themselves in case that happens again, they signed veteran Chase Daniel as their primary backup. But the real hope is that Stafford can remain healthy, return to form, and help carry an offense that now has a wide array of offensive options surrounding him. Detroit selected former Georgia Bulldogs running back DeAndre Swift in the 2nd round in an attempt to help jumpstart a run game that lacked consistency and explosiveness last season. What Swift brings to the table is great vision, great elusiveness, and great ability as a receiver. He gives the Lions a bona fide game breaker in the backfield, and to me, it would help slide Kerryon Johnson and Bo Scarborough into more appropriate supplementary roles that'll help strengthen the run game as a whole. Both Johnson and Scarborough are good in spurts, but relying on them as bell cows can be an issue. Detroit also boasts two speedsters in the backfield with Ty Johnson and rookie Jason Huntley from New Mexico State. Johnson provides good kickoff return value, while Huntley could provide that as well, but I think it's his ability to operate in a downfield passing game, in addition to what he does as a slasher type back, could be a way for him to get on the field earlier than expected. And if fullback Nick Boughton struggles to stay healthy, he could be in danger of losing his spot due to undrafted free agent Luke Sellers out of South Dakota State, or even tight end Isaac Nauta. The Lions are pretty stable at wide receiver in my opinion, at least with their starting three. Kenny Golladay went for over 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards actually, last season, scoring 11 touchdowns, and if he'd been healthy for the full season, then Marvin Jones would have probably done the same. They make up as exciting of a duo there is in the NFC. And Danny Amendola also had a solid season, hauling in 62 passes, which was the same as Jones, for 678 yards. In free agency, they brought in Geronimo Allison from the Green Bay Packers, who was always on the cusp of breaking out each season, but never really took off. He had a few good plays or games here and there, but not as consistently as you would like to see. Hopefully, that can change for him here in Detroit. I'm excited to see the growth and development of second-year player Travis Fulgham and rookie Quintez Cephas out of Wisconsin. Now, Fulgham made the team last year as an undrafted free agent and has a certain physicality for the position. So does Cephas, who may not have the deep speed, but has the ability to fight at the catch point and is a strong run after the catch player. And it's going to be interesting to see Jamal Agnew at wide receiver. He's making a move from cornerback to the full-time receiver position. He's their best returner, one that could take it to the house at any given time, both kickoff or punt returner. Now he's going to have to make the team as a slot receiver essentially, but when you have his speed, when you have his ability to do things with the ball in his hands, I think he has a great chance to make it happen. At tight end, second-year player TJ Hockenson is hoping to have a stronger sophomore season, as he only played in 7 games and was dealing with nagging injuries for a good stretch during his rookie season. Hockenson had one heck of a debut against Arizona, catching 6 passes for 131 yards and a touchdown. But after that, he finished with only 367 yards on the season and only one more touchdown. Obviously, the staff views Hockenson as a player with tremendous talent and upside, and with a clean bill of health, he has a chance to realize it this season. I would also keep an eye out for undrafted rookie free agent Hunter Bryant out of Washington. He graded out as my number 1 H-back prospect in the draft class because of what he does from a route running perspective and a run after the catch perspective. He gives them a little bit more juice than Jesse James does, and could potentially slide James down to a more functional tight end 3 role. And I would also expect second-year tight end Isaac Nauta out of Georgia to be more involved in the blocking game, as fullback Nick Boughton has had issues staying healthy so far in his short career. Up front along the offensive line, I like what Detroit has in tackles Taylor Decker and free agent signee Halakuluvate Vaitai from the Philadelphia Eagles, as well as center Frank Ragnow. Those 3 make them solid on the edges and stout in the middle. Tyrell Crosby gives them good depth at both tackle spots as well. Now, inside at guard is where things could get interesting this season. Right now, Joe Dahl is slated to start at one of the guard spots, probably left guard, and on the opposite side, you have Ode Abouche, who can also provide depth at tackle, or Kenny Wiggins, who can play both guard spots. Honestly, I think what will end up happening is that we can see 2 rookies start at both guard spots at some point during the season, if not at the beginning of the season, as the Lions double down on the position in the draft with 2 excellent prospects in Jonah Jackson out of Ohio State and Logan Stenberg out of Kentucky. Jackson was my top guard prospect in the draft class, making the most of his opportunity in his last season in college after transferring from Rutgers, and Stenberg, I thought, dominated at times in the SEC and brings to the table good length and power on the inside. Now, projecting forward, Detroit has assembled a pretty solid group along the offensive line, one that should be the catalyst for a much improved run game. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, and it all starts up front for the Detroit Lions. The mission here is twofold. They have to be much better against the run, and they also have to be significantly better at pressuring the quarterback. Trey Flowers is their top returning sack leader, and he only has 7 sacks last year, and a lot of that could be a byproduct of him seeing a ton of attention because of what wasn't coming off of the other side. So the Lions hope that a healthy Deshaun Hand who definitely has the goods to be a consistent threat, can't provide that counterbalance up front. The Okara brothers, Romeo and the rookie Julian out of Notre Dame, figured to provide good situational depth coming off the edge, and hopefully second-year player Austin Bryant from Clemson has the same good fortunes with his health this time around, as injuries stunted his growth a bit as a rookie. Now on the inside is where Detroit invested a lot of capital this offseason. They brought in Nick Williams from the Chicago Bears, Danny Shelton from the New England Patriots, and they also drafted John Pennicini out of Utah in the 6th round. The beef that they've added on the interior should help them be even stouter versus the run. Nick Williams also shows some quickness to collapse the pocket, and I like Pennicini's ability to uncork into an offensive lineman's chest and walk them back into the pocket. And both Kevin Strong and John Atkins figure to continue their growth as the staff likes the progress that they made during the 2019 season. In my opinion, the Lions have a pretty solid group of linebackers. When you add a Jamie Collins to your second level, you add a multifaceted player who doesn't have to come off the field. Collins can rush the passer really well and is more than effective in pass coverage. I also like the fact that he'll be paired up with second-year player Jelani Tavai out of Hawaii, who is versatile enough to play inside or outside backer. He covers a lot of ground and should be moved around a bit more within this new defense. Christian Jones is another player whose game I've always enjoyed. He's an athletic run and chase player who is also solid in coverage. Now on the inside is where you have some questions. The Lions hope that Jarrad Davis can raise his level of play. During his time in Detroit, he has shown flashes but has been very inconsistent. They did sign Reggie Ragland this offseason from the Kansas City Chiefs, who himself was inconsistent with his previous team. So this is going to be a big year for both guys, in my opinion, as they will have to have a more impactful 2020. But I've always been a big fan of Jalen Reeves-Maybin's game. He's got some athleticism. He can play sub backer. He's a core special teamer. He's a great run and chase guy. So hopefully his role can expand some this season. The Lions were dead last in pass defense last season, giving up 284 yards a game while only picking off 7 passes. That's why they wanted to come in this offseason and revamp this unit. They'll have 2 new starters in the stud rookie corner Jeff Okudah out of Ohio State and veteran Desmond Trufant, who comes over from the Atlanta Falcons. Okudah has #1 corner type talent and should hit the ground running. And I thought Trufant was coming off one of his better seasons with the Falcons before getting hurt. He was finally start to find the football, which is going to be key for him in Detroit. Inside is Justin Coleman, who is hoping to have a bounce-back season of sorts. He is still one of the stickiest slot defenders, in my opinion, in the NFC. Now, Amani Oruwariye showed improvements over last season as a rookie and looks to be in line to make a dent in the depth chart this upcoming year, earning more playing time on the field in the regular defense. Detroit added some key depth players here as well, with Darryl Roberts, who comes over via free agency from the New York Jets. I thought he played solid ball last season and really gives them a steady vet backing up their 2 starting corners. At safety, they have one of the better young players in the league in Tracy Walker, who led the team in total tackles as well as solo stops with 82. He's got very good awareness on the back end. This season, the Lions added a former Patriot with very similar skills in Deron Harmon, who just finds the football. The hope is that with better pass rush up front, they should be in position to make more plays on the ball back deep. And I do like the depth here with free agent signing Jerron Kearse, who comes over from the Minnesota Vikings, and second-year player Will Harris, who should improve this season after earning 6 valuable starts as a rookie. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by 9th and Lux. Visit the website 9thandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Do You Music with feature artist IW and his latest release, Mr. Hunter. That's doyoumusic.com. You can also find it available on iTunes as well as Spotify. Nesby Phipps, art, life, entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app. The Academy of Broadcast Media in Hackensack, New Jersey. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Financial Coaching LLC, investment, retirement, security. Stewardship Credit, financial growth is in your hands. Stewardshipcredit.com. Adrienne Marie Photo, photographer, writer, management. AdrienneMariePhotography.com. Lock Multimedia. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/go-go offense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/go-go offense. I was surprised that Washington tight end Hunter Bryant went undrafted, but understandable because of the injury situation. However, a healthy Bryant is a legitimate game breaker as an H-back and gives them the perfect complement to TJ Hawkinson, so look for that to be the case this training camp. Bobby Price is a super athletic defensive back that can serve in a variety of ways for this Lions defense. He can play deep, shallow, in the box, can serve as a nickel backer, you name it. Look for his athleticism and that versatility to be the talk of camp. It's an obvious choice for the rookie impact on the offensive side of the ball with running back DeAndre Swift. He's a guy that can give the Lions what they've lacked since at least Reggie Bush or even Barry Sanders, if we're being honest. Being able to get a foundational back like Swift should do wonders for this Lions offense. Defensively, first-round pick Jeff Okudah is as good as advertised and will help soften the blow of losing Darius Slay. Okudah is a versatile, technically sound corner with ball skills. To me, that sounds like a surefire day one impact player. Offensively speaking, the biggest X factor to me is tight end TJ Hawkinson. He had a great debut game as a rookie and essentially nothing else afterwards. The Lions took him high in the draft last year with the anticipation that he would be their version of Rob Gronkowski. While that is very lofty expectations, if he's able to get close to that, it would make a big difference offensively. On the other side of the ball, free agent signee Desmond Trufant would be my choice for the X factor, as he'll be the other starting corner opposite of the rookie Okudah. Trufant was coming off one of his best seasons as a Falcon, but also is coming off of an injury. Atlanta's loss could be the Lions' gain and further help soften the blow of losing Slay. Look for rookie Jonah Jackson to have a breakout year. I think he's going to end up winning that right guard job and completely ball out. He was my #1 rated guard prospect in the draft and has star potential in my opinion. I also believe linebacker Jahlani Tavai is going to have a breakout season. He had a solid rookie year and figures to take a major step forward in year 2. Pairing him up with Jamie Collins and Christian Jones gives the Detroit Lions a ton of length at the second level. One of the major reasons for optimism for the Detroit Lions is that Matt Stafford is back in the fold. Like we said earlier, he was enjoying one of his best seasons of his career from an efficiency standpoint, a touchdown to interception ratio standpoint. And if that Stafford returns back to this lineup healthy, it could be an awesome season for Detroit. Also combined with the fact that DeAndre Swift is a special player. Again, you go all the way back to Barry Sanders and they haven't had a back to be this dynamic. Reggie Bush was the closest, but he wasn't a rookie when they got him. He was almost on the tail end of his career, but Swift is that guy. He has the ability to hit the home run. And to be honest, their defense has nowhere to go but up. They were 31st in the league last year in total defense, 32nd against the pass. They have to get better, and if they just get to the top 15, they could be just fine this season. A cause for concern would be if that defense struggles to get to the quarterback like it did last year. Detroit really didn't sack the quarterback at a high clip, which affected their ability to cover on the back end. So if the front end can help out the back end, it could be a good thing for Detroit's defense improving on what we saw last year. And if Matt Stafford misses more time this year, that could be a problem for the entire team, let alone the offense. Again, Chase Daniel is the backup. He's solid, but this offense is a different offense with Matt Stafford at the helm. They need him to be out there for a full 16-game season. The road to the Super Bowl for the Lions goes as follows. Number 1, if that defense jumps into the top 15, again, drastically improving over what we saw last season, going from 31st to 15 would be a huge improvement, which means their defense will be giving the ball back to their offense. And Stafford picks up where he left off. Again, he was playing some of the best ball of his career. If he can pick up where he left off and do that for a full season, this offense could be fine. If the offensive line, which I think is underrated, paves the way for a run game that features DeAndre Swift, Stafford is going to be playing efficient football, back healthy, finishing off where he left off in 2019, then Detroit can find themselves dancing down to Tampa for the Super Bowl. I have the Lions finishing 4th in the NFC North. I think overall, this is a team that's going to be a lot like the Chicago Bears that we saw last year. A team that's going to hover around 8 wins with the potential to get 9. If things break for them defensively, if they get significantly better, they have a chance to really crash the playoff party. I think their offense will be sneakily good this upcoming season. I like some of the pieces that they've added. I think they'll be more of a run-based, play-action pass team. And again, if things break for them defensively, they can easily march their way up the standings. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. And don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating. That's where you can find our NFL All 32 podcast. And keep it locked here on our Football Game Plan YouTube channel, where we will have a ton of Lions video related content coming down the pike in our All 22 show, our fantasy football starting lineup, as well as our best bets.
It's D-U-E, you tell I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have the team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have the team become a unit, yeah.